Hey everyone, so if your fridge has stopped working like mine did, this video may help you. Mine stopped working and it seemed to go out slowly just because when your fridge stops working, it's very cold inside. It actually keeps the cold for like a couple days if you're not using it a lot. So I would go in here and I would be like, man, stuff doesn't seem quite as cold as normal, but whatever. Until one late night when I go to grab the ice cream and it's like more cream than ice. Yeah, we got a problem. So I walked through the steps that I took to fix this. The fix is fantastic. It was like $15, $16. Got a part the next day from Amazon and we're up and running in like no time. Saved a ton of money by not having to call somebody to come out. Just to get somebody to come out is probably at least $100. Then they're gonna try to diagnose your fridge. That's gonna be like another $100. $15 part's gonna be 30 bucks. They're gonna put it in. I mean, you're like $500 in. They're probably gonna tell you to just buy a whole new fridge. I didn't want to spend $1,000 on a new fridge, especially at this point in my life. The first thing I go through is cleaning the cooling vents, the cooling fins underneath the fridge. This is something that really should be done. It's kind of a maintenance thing. I thought that's what the issue was. It turned out not to be that. And then I show you how to get back behind your fridge, open up a panel, and check a part out. Again, this is like a $15 part. 2 or 3 refrigerators in my lifetime has had this almost identical issue, and each time I was able to fix it. No matter what kind of fridge you have, this happens to be a Kenmore, but they're all like the same. The refrigeration parts are pretty much the same in terms of what they are. You got a condenser, a compressor, you got a fan, you got this little startup relay thing. It's all pretty much the same, just slightly different parts. My channel is mostly about installing aftermarket Tesla parts, things like that. However, I do like home DIY projects all the time, little fixes, little upgrades, things like that. So yeah, subscribe. So all right, let's get going already. All right, our fridge is hardly cooling anymore. The stuff in the freezer was not frozen at all. Pulled the front cover off here, which is really dirty. That just kind of literally just like pulled off. When you open the doors, it came off even easier, but look at this. Ooh. Yeah, this is not good. These cooling fins are not going to cool very well when they're covered in yuck. So I've got my vacuum here, and I've got these brushes. These are like detail brushes for cars, this one and this one. They sell different kits for vacuums and with like really thin hoses and attachments to get in and out of different places. They sell these long brushes, which I thought I had. I've got to look for them because it's honestly, sure, you can get to these really easy, but there's behind there, you know, there's more fins, and those are going to be really difficult to get to, kind of no matter how we do it. We can't really get to the side. So anyway, I'm going to see what I can clean off. I'm going to try to clean off everything that I can. I'm going to have to pull the fridge out and get to the back of it too. But yeah, it's not going to be fun. And hopefully this fixes a problem, because right now it's barely cooling. I had to take pretty much everything I could out of the fridge and bring it. Luckily, we've got another fridge freezer downstairs, because we were going to lose like pretty much everything. As it is, we're going to lose a number of things in the fridge. They're probably spoiling, not sure, but the valuable meats and things I was able to get downstairs. But yeah, this is not good. Here's where I'm at so far, and yeah, it is really difficult to get back there. You know, there's multiple layers of these cooling fins, and you can't really get to them. You know, you can get to 1 or 2 pretty easily. When you're doing this, the fan is blowing air out, and if you're brushing this, you know, dust and dirt away, it's blowing out. So get a vacuum hose here and turn it on so it draws it into here and it doesn't blow it all over you in the house. Ideally, if we could get underneath this fridge, we could just clean this sucker like so easily, so quick. Just take the whole fridge out, lay it on its back, but that is really not entirely feasible without taking every single thing out of the fridge, having at least one more person, maybe two, helping you to lay the thing on its back. And where you're going to do that in the house, you know, it goes on and on. But we definitely have to get behind the fridge anyway, pull that rear panel off and see what else is going on there. At least a couple of really good reasons why I want to start this cleanup first is because this is the #1 issue with your fridge if it's not cooling properly, is that all the cooling fins and everything are dirty. The fan is running, we can hear that, which is a really good sign. To get to the back, pull that back panel off and clean up back there and see what else is going on. Oh, another tip. What I did here is, our power doesn't go off very often here really at all, but one year it went off for a couple hours in the middle of winter. I bought a power generator. The refrigerator would be one of the things that I would want to run with the generator if the entire house goes out. Being though back here, to get access to the rear plug would be a huge pain in the butt. As I said, this thing has to come out, and even then it's hard to kind of get back there. So what I did was I ran an extension cord from the wall to here, and then this is the plug to the fridge, and so I just kind of leave this right out here. I could tuck it back there a little bit, but yeah, my wife didn't complain about this, so I left it like this. So if there is ever an issue, I can just run an extension cord, unplug it, and plug the fridge in very easily. So that is my hack tip for you. So here we are. See, I've got this pulled out pretty much as far as we can go, and yeah, we've got you know, a few inches of clearance to get back there, and you can see it is pretty dirty, but we want to pull off this back here, this cardboard panel, and I'm going to have to tilt this fridge around. We're going to try to get something underneath the wheels first, some of those slider things, I think, because last time I pulled this fridge out like this and moved it around, I don't think we had this floor in. I think we had tile floor at the time. Yeah, I either didn't care about the floor or it just slid on it and didn't really damage it at all, so whatever. But yeah, this would most likely scratch this floor up, and I don't want to take any chances. And you know, the wheels might be soft enough where they didn't scratch the floor, but there's just so much dirt in that under there that you're probably going to damage the floor. It's just not worth it. So, all right, let me see if I can get some sliders or something. Where we are now, I was able to get my son to help me. See these little slider pads? We got that on the front there and the front over there. In order to tilt this fridge enough to get that in there, on this side it wasn't that bad. I put my foot like here, which was holding the bottom, and just kind of wedged it in there while he pushed on the top, and then with my other foot I was able to slide the slider in there, because I couldn't stand here with my foot there and tilt this back enough, because hey, all right, I'm weak. I'm weak. I'm old. All right, I'm an old guy at this point. Seriously, it was really, really hard. I didn't have anything to like grab onto over here. And anyway, so let's pull this off and see what we got. See how well I can clean underneath there. What else I can access. So, ew. Yeah, back panel's off. These are 1/4 inch screws that went on the back of there, but yeah, there's a lot to clean here, obviously. Something I've noticed since I've started working on this fridge is that I'm never feeling any like hot air. The air typically blows out that way, just like we were talking before, the air coming out of the front of the fridge. And the air was just always been kind of cool. Air conditioners need to transfer heat from somewhere, and they transfer heat from the fridge to somewhere else, right? Which in this case would be out into the front of the fridge. There's no heat transfer going on, so and you know, the fridge, normally you hear them kicking on. Well, this sucker is never like actually kicked on this, assuming that this is the compressor here. So I'm gonna have to look a little closer. I'm suspecting something like this. If I remember right, there's like coils and relays and all kinds of fun electronic stuff in there that could be bad. Maybe a thermostat or something like that that's not telling this thing to kick on. So I'm gonna, I think, probably do a little YouTubing and figure out how to diagnose this thing further. But this fan is just blowing cold air. It's good that this fan is running, but yeah, this is more than just a cleanup job. So I unplugged the refrigerator. I took this part off of here, and to do that, there was just like this clip that came off real easy. It was attached up here and down here. Pulled that off. This had to just keep kind of wiggling it, pulled it out, and you see that this is how it was in there. This is the bottom. You could see the 3 plugs that it went into. And then unplug this, just push up on this tab, and it came off. This reminds me of an issue I had with a refrigerator years and years ago. And I remember, because there's so really little electronics that you can access here in terms of, you know, just turning the motor on and everything. And I remember taking, it may have been this exact part off. There was like a starter relay or a starter inductor or something like that. And it had an iron core. And it was like broken inside. But I don't think that's what this is necessarily. There should be like I think this is a capacitor and a starter relay, but yeah, I'll look into this a little bit more. But anyway, looked at that other part on the other fridge and it was broken, so I got another one for very little money and put it on and it worked. So this is a capacitor here, rated 180 volts, 12 microfarads. To get it off of the back of here, I had to kind of pry it with a little screwdriver here to get it off. But my multimeter has a actual capacitor tester. Otherwise, it's hard to really test these things. You can kind of test them, but you can't get a rating on them otherwise. Almost 12, 11.86 microfarads. Got to hold it there for a little while, but it figures it out. So this is probably good. Also, capacitors tend to kind of swell up. They get puffy, and that's really when you know they're broken. So now we've got this guy here. So I read to test this relay. You jump to 2 terminals here. This is where the actual power runs into. With these jumped, you test these two, and you should get continuity. And you don't need to jump this to test these across the top, and you should get continuity. And what I have found is that testing these two, I've got the meter set to continuity. It's still open lead, oh well. Okay, test these two, same thing. These two actually does show some resistance there, actually a decent amount, almost 9 mega ohms. So yeah, this appears to not be working right. It is the next day, and I've got the part already to replace that. Not even 24 hours later, so this is pretty slick. This looks the same here. This looks the same there. So, yeah, not sure exactly why we have this connector, but who knows? Who knows? You know what? Just out of curiosity, wait. All right, see how we get a little bit of a rattle in there. Maybe about the same as that one, so that rattle test really didn't work for this anyway. Yeah, and on top of that, the circuit board in here, if I remember right, this kind of moved around a little bit too and created some of that rattle. But without this being together, it's hard to really compare the two right now. All right, let me hook the meter up to this though, just out of curiosity. Going across the bottom too, and yeah, it's still out of range. We switch to those two, and we see that this starts off, this is different. It kind of climbed up a little bit. Now let me switch to these, and it was, let me try to do this again. So it kind of climbed up quickly. Yeah, I don't know. I can't tell if that was a legitimate test or not before. We are getting a different reading here though. So that's different. Hopefully this works. I have not yet plugged it in. So let's see what happens. Seems as though this will plug in either way. It'll only plug in one way. Okay, that is good. It makes me feel better. Okay, I was able to plug that in, but I don't know. It's just like a really kind of tight fit. I don't understand really why, but okay. That is plugged in. Let's now plug this into the fridge, and it only lines up one way. This is on the bottom. That is on. And then this went... That spring goes there and up there. Let's plug this sucker in and hopefully hear the compressor start. Ooh, did you hear that? That little buzz? That's this. I think I feel it.